A medley, and those little words I spoke for about 5 minutes before I played totally threw me off track. I went into the rabbit hole, deep, down deep, deep in my head, deep in the hole. Wrote a new tentative list for comeback album. Wrote more poetry. I found these boards. I painted them white. I think I have 7 of them, maybe 8. It was going to be like a continuous piece, like a illustration, like I was doing with the black matte boards I've been painting. But they all got really wordy. So they don't all look exactly like this, but there's a lot of words. And they've been inspiring. I heard Brian Eno talking about how he doesn't think of himself as a musician. I mean, I guess after Roxy Music. He's talking about his solo work after Roxy, because obviously he was a band member first. But as far as his productivity and his output as an ambient soundscape composer, famously, he earned the most money ever by a musician per minute, per second, per hour, or whatever, because he got paid $1 million. I think it was $1 million. Might have been more. For that Windows tone, that ding ding, Windows. What was it? Windows 95 did it come out in, or was it Windows 98? But that Windows tone when you turn the computer on. Brian composed that, and they commissioned. Is that the right word? I mean, I know it makes sense, but that's not the word I'm looking for. They, put it out for him to do it, and I wish I knew the word I'm trying to get. Anyway, Brian was saying that he doesn't think of himself as a composer or musician. He hears music, and it always almost excites him, but there's always something wrong with it. And he goes, it needs this, or it needs to be like that without that. So he aims to go and fill in the blanks. And I was thinking, oh my God, that's me too. That's why people always say my music is reminiscent of, but it never sounds like a ripoff. Like, we don't have, I have like 600 songs. Oh, I just broke a pen. I don't want ink to get everywhere. Really, that's a humble brag, whatever. They're not all good, but, I have a lot more good songs than most people because I have 600 of them, damn it. Look, I got ink all over my leg. So yeah, humble brag. And people hear the songs with the band, JSE was classic rock, alternative rock, psychedelic rock a little bit, but the False Alarms was a punk band, but they were psychedelic punk. And when I played with Seth, that was psychedelic folk. The JSE got a little psychedelic, and then there's a Black Tie Affair that's just heavy rock, alternative rock, but no psychedelia. And there is definitely distinct sounds in that. There's a few songs that could share, like Clean Disease and Plan B. Those could fit in either band. And then the Barons, I was in the Barons too, and they were a psychedelic alternative rock band. A little lighter, mellower, a little bit. They had some up-tempo songs, but most of it was mid-tempo or slow ballady kind of stuff. Think of OK Computer. Stuff like that. Psychedelic, psychedelia. Cool stuff. Love the Barons. Anyway, people would hear my bands, whether it's the JSE, the Barons, Black Cipher, and they'd be like, it's reminiscent of Built to Spill, it's reminiscent of the Smashing Pumpkins, it's reminiscent of Weezer, it's reminiscent of Green Day, it's reminiscent of Nirvana, it's reminiscent of, it was, because I never set out to copy. I learned how to play by covering, well, first I learned how to playing along with video game music. So really the first stuff I played on guitar was like Starlight Speedway Zone. Green Hill Zone, like Sonic the Hedgehog, Super Mario Brothers, Nintendo, River City Ransom, Metroid, Castlevania. That's the shit I learned how to play. Double Dragon. And then I really got into this Philip Glass album called Solo Piano. And around the same time, Deshaun was introducing me to Built to Spill. And I had one album I loved by them called, was it Keep It Like a Secret? No, it was Perfect From Now On. And I knew how to play every song on Perfect From Now On. probably not the chords, but like, let's say there's a song that has a lead ebow or a guitar solo. I basically am an intermediate player the way Doug marches. March. Is that how you say his name? March. So I could play like him, and I learned how to play like him. So, you know, when the solos came up on this Velvet Waltz or whatever, I could play along to that. So I would play along to the whole album, start to finish, and the whole Philip Glass album. And then my repertoire became Le Sabi Fav, Go Forth. Played along to that whole album, produced by Phil Eck, who also produced Built to Spill. Was really into Phil Eck, got into Daniel Johnston, and Calvin Johnston. The beat happening. And anyway, I'm rambling way too much. I was just trying to say that was my artistic philosophy musically. That I thought of myself as an adjuster. I'd hear something on the radio and be like, oh, that's almost a good song. It's so corny because they did this. I would do that song and have it rhythm like that, but then not go to that part. So I would write a song, steal the rhythm, but then do my thing as the chorus. One of my first songs we used to call Bo Diddley because it had a Bo Diddley beat, but we renamed it Stillwell Avenue. And I had modeled that, like I said, The Adjuster, after a song that Eddie Vedder sings, but it's not a Pearl Jam song. He sang it with the Super Suckers. I think it was called Poor Girl or Poor Little Girl. And I almost got in trouble because this was, one of my first songs. I started the band when I was 19, the year 2000. One of the first songs, Stillwell Avenue. If you listen to the melody of Stillwell Avenue and then listen to Poor Little Girl by Super Suckers, you'll laugh. It's almost plagiarism. Because it's that whole... But I really stole that exact progression. So the verses are exactly the same, but my rhythm is a little different, my singing is a little different, and then the chorus is completely different. And then, Kevin wrote a guitar solo, I wrote a guitar solo. So at the end of the day, I don't think they could sue me, but it was just embarrassing. I remember going to a club, and at the Continental, and a band was covering the Super Suckers, and they fucking played it. And Mike Finnerty was there, and I was mortified, and I thought he was going to call me out. And then I thought he was just being polite. But then I realized Mike Finnerty's a big drunk, and he didn't even realize. But I was, like, cringing. Because Eddie Vedder's like, and my song is, these words are wrong, message getting missed, I tried so hard, away from all this, no one can try, the rhythms in my head, I'd rather try anything instead, and someone seems to sell you short of your worth. Cut off all these flirty shirts in the shirt. Lose another button. Pop off my shirt. Pop off a button. Pop off my shirt. I didn't do justice to it. You should listen to it. It's on Blood Brothers, our first EP from 2010, the JSE. So you go to the jse.bandcamp.com or jsharp.bandcamp.com. Several of my important albums, like the JSE albums, are on multiple sites, so you can find them easily. Everything is so set up and cross-linked and cross-referenced, and the song on YouTube that's covering it has a direct link to it on Bandcamp where you could stream it or buy it for free. You could buy everything for free. It's all free. It says free, or pay what you wish, and you could just hit 0. You don't need an email. You don't need a zip code. You don't need anything. You just put 0, click enter, and it says download to your computer or save as, whatever. So check out my music, recorded. I'm not really the best live guitarist, but I always tried to be in bands with 2 guitars so I could do my wacky little leads and have competent rhythm players or another better lead guitar player. I was the lead guitar player in the False Alarms, which is challenging, but the reason it worked was we were really amateurish. Like, Ethan was a really sloppy rhythm guitarist, way worse than me, a rudimentary singer. Will wasn't as good a bass player as me, and I hate to admit this, but Alex Soshinsky? Alex, Jared's little brother. Wow, I forgot his name. He was our drummer, and he was just learning how to play, so he sucked. And then I guess they realized he sucked eventually, and I guess they fired him. I don't really remember, but then Randy came in, which was cool because I met Randy. I loved him. I met him on the subway. I really just wanted to jump his bones. And, he was holding a bass, so I struck up a conversation, talked about music. He was totally dressed in black. I pegged him for, like, an AFI, kind of Depeche Mode kind of kid. He was all into the Misfits. He had a Misfits shirt on, ripped jeans, combat boots, the whole, black nails, the whole thing. And he loved to drum. So Randy, and he was also not very good, but he could keep a beat, and that's all you need. So the False Alarms record sounds great. Shane O'Connor recorded it at Monsterland in Bushwick, and then he moved to and Shane and I started a band too, but we didn't get more than a few songs recorded. And then Shane moved to LA, and he just engineered the last 2 Chili Peppers albums. So those False Alarms records still sound good. I listened to them recently, and it works because I'm not the best lead guitarist, but when I was the best musician in a band, and I could really act like I'm great, like I was showing off shit. I'm playing like 4 notes, but I'm giving it all this bravado, and stepping on all these pedals and effects, and it's walls and swirls of noise, and it was cool. It worked. Bands are chemistry, it's a formula, it's psychology, it's everything. False Alarms worked. We also had Spencer. Wow, we had 3 fucking drummers. Spencer was the start of the False Alarms. We were called Samsara back then. And then I put out a Secondhand Coke album in 2008 about Ethan. I gave it to Ethan as a birthday present. It's 14 songs, and every song is about Ethan. There's a song called I Like Cars and Electric Guitars. It's a song about Ethan's dad. There's a song called Rambo, a punk song, because his pot dealer was named Rambo, and he used to sell weed in the schoolyard. So there's a punk song about his pot dealer. There's a song called Mad Weight about his ex-actress, ex-girlfriend who moved to New York, but she put on Mad Weight. So the song's called Mad Weight. There's a song called Counterfeit Casio. That's the only song that's not about Ethan. It's about me, but it's about depression. And Ethan was depressed, so you know if you're listening to it in context, you'll go, "Oh, Ethan's depressed." It's just a depressed song, and it's saying I feel like a counterfeit Casio, and it's a counterfeit Casio, like a little fake Casio that Will Brender got at a Salvation Army, and he gave it to me. I think he lent it to me, and I broke it. Like I left the batteries in too long, and I guess you're supposed to not leave batteries in, but you know how some things are cheap and the batteries will corrode and explode, and that's what happened. So it became unplayable. You ever touch that stuff and it like shocks you or burns you? It's like acid. Anyway, that's a great album. Secondhand Coke, The Birth of E Diddles. I gave it to Ethan Donway as a birthday present. The Birth of E Diddles. E Diddy, Ethan Donway. Um, yeah, and then I put out more Secondhand Coke albums, but none of them had the same magic that one had. It's so fucking good. You know, because I had a topic to work with. And Ethan used to make fun of hipsters that had like those Morrissey haircuts. He would call them like pompadours. So I have a song called Pompous Pompadour, which is one of my favorite folk songs. But I sing about the Ramones and television because Ethan loved that old school 1977 New York CBGB's punk. You know, the Talking Heads and Patti Smith when that was punk. So, yes, check out my recorded works. Don't listen to the bullshit I put up here on YouTube. Link in description. Bye-bye.